Hello candidates, once again I welcome you to Good Times Infant School Digital Learning, and this is your teacher Mr. Sekatawa Patrick taking you into the next segment of this English language digital learning lesson. Just like we did the other time, we opened up our lesson by looking at the conditionals, the do's and the don'ts, the sentence constructions in the conditional sentences, what we must not do, what we must do, where we must punctuate, and things like that. Today, we are going to look at the first condition, or condition 1, which others love to call if 1 or type 1 conditional. What is type 1 conditional? Type 1 conditional, if 1, is that condition that we use when we are expressing possibilities or probabilities in the future. There are many conditions as we saw, and like I said, we are going to look at specifically the 3 which are examinable by our standards. And the first one is that type 1 conditional. Now the type 1 condition, as I've said, is the only conditional that we use when we're expressing futurity, and by futurity I mean future time. Okay? The other conditionals, as we shall see, do not refer to the future, but it is only conditional 1 or the type 1 conditional that is used to refer to the future time. So specifically, you have to get to grips with that. The moment you come to understand that it is type 1 conditional that refers to future time, then you won't have any problem as long as you are able to identify the tenses that point towards future. Now, as we continue to learn, I will ask a question. How do we identify a condition 1 sentence? Well, it is very simple. We can only identify a condition 1 sentence through tenses. And like all the other conditionals, there is a tense pattern. There is a tense pattern which goes with every specific condition. Now, in this case, since we are looking at condition 1, the tense pattern is 1, the present simple tense, which we find in the conditional clause of a condition 1 sentence. I want to repeat myself. The present simple tense, which is found in the conditional clause of a conditional 1 sentence. If I am to expound a little, the present simple tense is what during those old days used to call the everyday tense. A tense that talks about things that we do every day or things that we do repeatedly. Then the second tense is what we call the future simple tense, which is found in the result clause of a conditional 1 sentence. And the future simple tense simply talks about things that are expected to take place in the future. I want to give examples to that effect. Example number 1 says, Arnold will win the race if he trains hard. I have already said that these conditionals can only be identified through the tenses. And as you can look at our sentence, the sentence number 1 I've just read, Arnold will win the race if he trains hard. In this case, you can see that there are those highlighted words, the ones in bold. Arnold will win the race if he trains hard. Will win represents the future simple tense, and trains represents the present simple tense. So those are the only areas that are used to examine tenses. Sentence number 2, if the P7 candidates work hard, they will get first grades. Now you can see, as we said in the first lesson, the moment we begin our sentence with the conditional clause, we must supply a comma at the end of the conditional clause before we can introduce the result clause. And now, looking specifically at the tense, the word work, that verb work represents the present simple tense, and the words will get represent what we call the future simple tense. And the last example in that case, Auntie Alice will return to Uganda if the COVID-19 pandemic ends. Auntie Alice will return to Uganda if the COVID-19 pandemic ends. Will return represents the future simple tense, and the verb ends represents the present simple tense. So those are the areas which are used to examine you candidates when it comes to conditional sentences, and there is no other way they will do it. I want to give examples in this case, because we have already said that it is tenses that are based on to examine you. Now they may give you a sentence like the one we have before us. Joseph wants to go to the village. He does not have money. Then the instruction goes, join the two sentences using dash, will go, dash. Now the moment you get such a question, the interpretation has to be done inside your head. First of all, you have to undergo what we call identification. That will be to identify a tense. Will go. Will go is future simple tense. Future simple tense. And we have already said that it is a pattern. The present simple tense and the future simple tense. Now in the instruction you have been given the future simple tense, meaning that it is now upon you, it is incumbent upon you to identify the other tense which is going to now drive you towards the condition one, because the condition one, as we said, has two tenses, the future simple tense which has been given to you and the present simple tense which has not been given. Now if I were you, I would come up with a sentence like this. If Joseph gets money, he will go to the village. If Joseph gets money, he will go to the village. Now in that case, you have used the will go, which has been provided to you, and you have been able to identify the other tense, which is gets. Now will go represents the future simple, and gets represents the present simple tense. Answer number 2. The first one has started with the conditional clause. Now the second one will start with the main clause or the result clause. Joseph will go to town if he gets money. Joseph will go to town if he gets money. So that is that. Our sentence number 2 or question number 2. My uncle needs permission from his employer. He wants to visit his sick wife. My uncle needs permission from his employer. He wants to visit his sick wife. The instruction goes, join the two sentences using dash, gets, dash. In sentence number 1 or question number 1, the tense that was given to us was future simple tense. In this case, you have now been given the present simple tense in the name of the verb gets. So if you have been given the present simple tense, then it is upon you to look for the other tense. Okay? Look through the sentence, formulate verbs that will match with the future simple tense, which will partner the present simple tense to get you to the condition 1 sentence. And answer number 1 is, if my uncle gets permission from his employer, he will visit his sick wife. Now, this candidate has been able to use the provided verb in the name of the verb gets, and at the same time has gone on to identify the other verb in the future simple tense, which is will visit. Now candidates, I want you to understand that when examiners are setting exams, they just tip you. What they give you in the brackets is a tip which is going to help you get the rest of the answer. Now that verb gets is a tip which has to tell you that, oh, this gets is present simple, therefore I must look for future simple to get my answer right. Answer number 2, my uncle will visit his sick wife if he gets permission from his employer. In that case, the candidate has chosen to begin with the main clause or the result clause and end with the conditional clause. There's no point in doing that as long as you have correctly applied the rules and used the verb as given to you in the instruction. Please note, in the questions above, as I have said, one tense has been given which presents the candidate with the task of identifying the second tense. in order to complete the pattern that works in a conditional one. And that is very important. A candidate should be able to do that strictly. Failure to do that is suicidal, dear candidates. Please note, this is a reminder, when a conditional sentence starts with the main clause or the result clause, no comma is required anywhere in the sentence. We looked at that in the previous lesson. I just want to emphasize it. And the examples are there. I shall visit my grandfather if I get money. Your brother will go to Australia if he gets aggregate 4. He will accompany me to the office if he prepares himself in time. Those three sentences do not have any commas because they all have begun with the result clause. Candidates, before I leave you, I want to give you a simple assignment, our third, because the other time I gave 2. And it says, use the correct form of the words in the brackets to complete the sentences. Meaning that those words that have been given to you are in wrong form. Identify the right form and use those forms you have identified to fill those blank spaces. If they arrive late at school, they dash the exams in the box we have miss. Our neighbor will go to town if he dash money in the box we have getting. Namwanje dash her clothes if she gets soap in the box we have wash. If it doesn't rain, we dash football in the box we have to play. The head teacher will punish us if we dash him in the box we have disobeyed. If I dash to town, I shall buy a bicycle in the box we have to go. Number 7, Nakasuja dash if he misses the debate in the box crying. If Auntie Jessica dash from her sickness, all of us will be happy in the box we have recovering. Mr. Opeder will go to jail if he dash his wife in the brackets fault. And the last one, if COVID-19 dash out of Uganda, we shall feel very happy in the brackets we have goes. Those words in the brackets are in wrong forms. It is your role to identify the right forms and get the answers right. Dear candidates, I thank you once again for being good learners. I want to wish you well. Stay safe, stay at home. I know this program will go away very soon. See you next time.